This bill for me is something that really brings the whole thing full circle for me. Part of the reason why I originally ran for the legislature is for health care for people. And so today, probably quite possibly the last time that I get a chance to speak on it, I'm certainly flooded with a lot of different emotions, a lot of different people talking about these issues. One of the things that struck me right early in the debate was good Senator Woodbury talking about the fairness issue, and I think that's a great point. The fairness of life is really absolutely not fair. People get diseases, afflictions for absolutely no fathomable reason. It just happens to them. Some small change in their DNA, some gene that's gone awry, whatever it is, people end up with cancer, heart conditions, you name it, and it just doesn't seem to be at all fair. And no one knows who's going to. Some people look very healthy and get these problems. Some people have a lot of money and get these problems, and some people don't have any money and get these problems. It cuts across every social, economic line you can imagine. And for someone like myself and anyone in this chamber, there really ain't anything you can do about it. But there's also the fairness that you can do about letting people have health care in this country. And that is something that, if you're well off, if you have a job that provides health care, if you happen to be in an industry that has a retirement system and health care, like a teacher or a state worker, then you're pretty lucky. Or if you happen to be a government official, someone that's in this chamber, you're pretty lucky. And that's something that a lot of people would certainly hope to aspire to. But not everyone can be in that situation, and that's certainly an unfairness. When you don't have enough money to provide your own health insurance, that seems to be an unfairness. And this bill would certainly correct some of those issues. We talk about people, their situations and stuff like that, and they're just unbelievable stories of how bad things happen to good people that never saw them coming at all. And for me, like I said, bringing it back full circle for myself, when I stand here today, if I wasn't elected, I quite honestly could be one of the stories that any one of you are talking about here. And it doesn't make me feel at all good. I mean, it's something that bothers me a lot, but it was something that I couldn't help. And earlier today, which seems to be quite a long time ago, I sent around a picture of someone I spoke about on this floor, my good friend Ryan Kelly. And when you look at that picture, the two of us are standing in it. There's 7 of us in the picture, and 2 of us both had that problem of having an unfairness done to them as far as not knowing or not being able to control health issues. Both of us being loggers, and today we talked about able-bodied people trying to get into this system and stuff like that. Well, people can say what they want about myself, but Ryan was certainly someone that was a hard-working person, and he did logging the way that you can't. I don't think anyone in here can debate. I mean, he used a chainsaw and ran around in the snow and dragged cables to trees. Probably one of the hardest professions there are in the state. Never asked for anything but a fair shot at getting a good job. And this picture, part of it was about the fact that he wanted health care for him and his young family. So, I'm a little upset that anyone would think that there's able-bodied people in the state that are just trying to scam the system and get health insurance. Ryan was someone that, quite honestly, would have qualified most probably for this. I'm sure at that time And I know very well for myself that the $16,000 would, a lot of times, he just barely made that. I know for a fact, because I know, looking back at my taxes, many times I was underneath that line, just like I am this year. So I'm standing here today, one of the people that, if I wasn't an elected official, I feel pretty comfortable that I would be able to qualify under this thing that we're talking about today. And I think that that's, perfectly part of the argument. When people talk about able-bodied people, I mean, I'm standing here on my third pacemaker only because of the fact that I've had health insurance because I was elected official. And after the first one, I certainly didn't feel very much like I was able to work at all. But because of the idea that I had health insurance and I had good care, I can go back to work now and be someone that's effective in the society, be someone that's not a drain on the system. But if I hadn't have had that health insurance, I quite honestly probably wouldn't be able to work, because I know for a fact that I wouldn't have gone in and got this service. And that's exactly what happened to Ryan. I mean, he did everything he could to be someone that just wanted to work for a living and continued to do everything he could. Went to the emergency room, was told that he had something that wasn't that serious, but because he didn't have health insurance, they didn't go any further. And if you look at that picture, I mean, he's 21 years old. He's long, very fit, and it would infuriate me for anyone to say that he was someone that wasn't able-bodied and didn't want to work. But because of that unfairness of having a heart that wasn't as good as everyone else's, he ended up passing away at 26 years old because he didn't have health insurance. No way around it. If he would have had quality health insurance, they would have caught that, and he, quite honestly, probably would still be here today. So it bothers me a lot when we stand here and talk about, who is able-bodied and who isn't, because those are the people that I actually see that are able-bodied but don't have health insurance and don't have really any other recourse. So we're standing here today talking about giving health insurance to a lot of people that they have no other option. And what is our option here in this body? I mean, what is the alternative? It seems like for some people the alternative is don't get sick, because there's no other option for some of these people. I looked at what the Navigator plan said last night, and for someone making $11,000, the health insurance payments are $500 a month, with up to $6,000 independent up to $6,000 in payments and deductibles. Well, that's out of reach for anyone that's only making $11,000. It's unattainable. So for many of these people, this is the only option that we're going to have. And I just, I'm really frustrated that people would stand here today and talk about the fact that, well, we got to wait for something else. Well, what do these people do in the meantime while they're waiting? I mean, they've done nothing but try and want to work. They've done nothing but try and do the best they can. And the cost of health care has gone out of reach for most of these people. And today we have a chance to give these people health insurance. And it's only for 3 years. If there is something better coming down the road, well, then we'll go to that. Senator Cates, Senator Saviello, and others have tried very hard to come up with a compromise plan that saves the state money. And here we are with that opportunity. And it's, really unfortunate that some people can't see how there's no other option for these people, and they've done nothing wrong. I mean, in my area, there's so many people that I see with no health insurance that are trying to make the best they can and just hoping that nothing more serious doesn't happen to them. And that's a thing that, for me, to look them in the face, I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed that we can't do something better for them. I mean, what do anyone say to someone like that? I mean, what do you say to someone like that? You've got to have them in your districts too. I mean, people that's done everything they could to make it work for them, but it isn't working for them. And this, to me, is at least an attempt to try and help some of these people with a problem that, like it's been said earlier, 10 years ago we didn't have this crisis with health insurance. 20 years ago there was no real problem with getting health insurance. Now it's gone so far out of reach that, you know, for the everyday average person, they're just not going to make it. So, you know, this is a thing for me that, you know, it's why I wanted to be a legislator. And I don't think there's anything that's really any more important today than giving people the opportunity to take care of their health. You know, I actually know people that we've talked about today that, you know, the outcomes for them are not going to be good. They're not going to be good for the state. People talk about the hospitals. The hospitals want this. The hospitals don't want to end up in another hole 10 years down the road from now, which is where we're going if we don't give people health insurance in this country. So, I mean, it just doesn't seem to make sense to me why we would want to stand in the way of this right now. We have a lot of fail-safes in this bill that has been put in to make sure that if there is something that changes down the road, we could revisit it. I think that people worked very hard to come up with a compromise that saves the state money, covers these people, and you know, I don't understand how people can go back to constituents and be able to look at them and not say that they've done everything they could to try and help them. I mean, yes, there's questions, there's concerns and stuff like that, but is the alternative not worse? I mean, what are we going to give to these people? So I would certainly appreciate and hope that people would think about, you know, people that don't have any other option. And this is an option. It's an option that would certainly help them, and we can do that today. We can make a difference in 70,000 people's lives. We can make a difference in people that have insurance in this country already, because this would actually lower their cost. So I think that all the way around it's a win-win. We have an agency, we have an office in this building that has said that we're going to save money. They're nonpartisan. They always give us our information, and most of the time people accept it. But for today, for some reason, people don't want to accept the fact that this actually is going to save us money. So I would encourage you to think long and hard about those people out there that, you know, don't have any other option, and that you are the person today that could do that. I mean, the person that is here because they voted for you and allowed you to have government-sponsored health care. And now today you're deciding if they are worthy of also having that.